Mamma Mia! Exclamation point. Here we go again. What a title. Here we go again. What a sarcastic, nearly pessimistic name for a film. For a franchise that is beating the audience to the joke. Here we go again. Really? They're making a sequel to a movie musical based off of a Broadway musical, a Broadway jukebox musical based on the musical stylings of the Swedish pop group ABBA, who in turn rose to prominence on Eurovision, which was one of the earliest iterations of reality TV. How is this movie a thing? Why is this movie a thing? I understand all of these questions. But the bigger question we should be asking is, why is this movie, this unassuming, uncalled for film, one of the greatest films ever unleashed upon modern cinema? Why is it so good? Why is it so good? And not like it's so bad it's good thing. I've watched enough essays that are like this is unironically good. I tell people this movie ranks easy in my top 3 favorite films of all time.
And at the top of the pyramid is
Mamma Mia! Here we go again. I have talked to friends and family and strangers alike about how this film is perfect. Perfect. I thought it was time to condense my thoughts into a structured video. For when I am old and gray, I will be able to play this back for my older self. Hi, older Chase. We love this movie. My name is Chase Runaway. I am a drag queen with a lot of thoughts. And by the end of this video, I hope you too will be able to appreciate one of the most joyous films ever put to screen. Joy. Remember that word. Act 1, I Have a Dream, the stage show. Mamma Mia, the stage musical, had its curtain rise on the West End in 1999 before transferring to Broadway in 2001. The musical was written by British playwright Katherine Johnson, who worked with Benny and Bjorn from ABBA to bring their music to the theatrical stage. It was originally after producer Judy Kramer suggested that the ABBA song The Winner Takes It All had theatrical potential. Benny and Bjorn were not super stoked on the idea, but were not opposed. So Judy Kramer commissioned Katherine Johnson to write the book. Bada bing, bada boom, we got a musical. A quick rundown of the musical. Sophie is engaged to Sky. Sophie lives with her mom Donna on a fictional Grecian island called Kalokairi. It's there where Donna runs a tavern that is slowly falling apart. Sophie wants her father to give her away at her wedding, but she does not know who her father is, and Donna refuses to let her know. Sophie finds Donna's diary and deduces from the pages that it is either Sam, Bill, or Harry, all previous lovers. Without Donna's knowledge, Sophie invites all of them to her wedding. After seeing all 3 of them arrive, Donna falls into distress and is comforted by her visiting friends Tanya and Rosie. Through conflict and miscommunication, all 3 of Donna's former lovers believe that they are Sophie's biological father and are all enthusiastic about walking Sophie down the aisle. But by the time the wedding arrives, Donna agrees to walk Sophie down the aisle. Donna confronts Sam, who addresses that he is the one that broke her heart. At the wedding, Donna confirms that one of these men is in fact Sophie's dad, but she just doesn't know who it is. Sophie comes to the conclusion that she doesn't care who exactly her father is, and she appreciates all of them being father figures in her life. With that, Sophie and Sky acknowledge that they do love each other, but they might not be ready to be married. While at the wedding, Sam apologizes and proposes to Donna, offering to finally give their love the chance it deserves. She agrees and the two get married right then and there. The show closes with Sophie and Sky, unwed but still happily in love, off to travel the world. Now, the musical on stage has always been successful, and there are obviously many different ways that an artistic medium can be classified as successful. But Kathleen, we live in a capitalist society, and as much as I want to celebrate this wacky little play for its artistic merit, we must crunch some numbers and get some butts in seats. At the end of last year, in the year of our Lord 2024, Mamma Mia celebrated its 10,000th performance on the West End, and that includes a closure in 2020 due to the pandemonium. They brought it back just because people love it so much. Do you know how many shows closed during that time? Before Broadway, it launched in Toronto and played for 5 years, then in San Francisco for 3 months, LA for 3 months, then Chicago for 3 months, and finally in New York City at the Winter Garden Theater. Hi, editing Chase here. While I was making this video, it was announced that Mamma Mia was returning to the Winter Garden Theater this summer 2025 for a limited summer engagement. I told you people love this show. As of 2024, it is the 9th longest running Broadway show of all time, and the #1 longest running Broadway jukebox musical of all time. Successful. It continues to be performed all over the world. It's pretty much always touring. It's performed regionally, in high school. In some way, shape, or form, if you grew up being involved in musical theater in some capacity, this show has probably touched you. And to me, it's not too hard to understand why. The concept of the jukebox musical is able to connect a more mainstream music listener to musical theater. And Mamma Mia itself, it's fun, it's positive, it's heartfelt. I think it's earnest, but also being very cheeky. Like, there are some elements about it that are aware that it is a musical and that the songs being sung are pop songs. Ben Brantley of the New York Times said about Mamma Mia, "For if you take apart Mamma Mia ingredient by ingredient, you can only wince. Yet, these elements have been combined with alchemical magic into the theatrical equivalent of comfort food." Comfort food. In a less glowy review, John Simon of New York Magazine said, "If you happen to have a couple of spare eardrums, be sure to bring them along. That said, I found the score neither unbearable nor something I'd miss if I never heard it again." All right, so that's a poor review. It probably wouldn't inspire a casual theater goer to buy a ticket, but I can't help but pull from this review a certain level of intrigue. Like he would be fine if it came on again, but he's not reaching for it. It almost sounds like he's describing top 40 radio. He's describing pop music. And if we look at all of the music that's being presented to us in this musical, was it all not at one point in time presented to us as top 40 pop music? I see where John is coming from, but when I'm trying to understand this show deep within its essence, I come out feeling like it was all very intentional, purposeful, calculated. John's not wrong, but this musical is doing absolutely what it was meant to do successfully. Deliberate. My fondest memories of Mamma Mia are my booba and I in her car on the way to Sunday school. She had the CD of the soundtrack in her car, and we would listen to it over and over and over, and that was my introduction to musical theater. It was also my first introduction to ABBA. Like, I had no idea that these songs were actually by a band that then were adapted into a musical. These songs are great because they beg to tell a story. They crave to share a narrative. Songs in musicals typically exist because the characters have emotions that are so big and so visceral that they have to be expressed through song. ABBA just has a way of writing a song that needs to be sung. Act 2, money, money, money. So, you want to make a movie musical? Before we get to the film Mamma Mia, I know this is very long-winded. We need to acknowledge where the musical on film was in 2008. And in order to understand that, I'm so sorry. We need to go back even further. Lindsay Ellis has a fantastic video about the life and death of the movie musical, acknowledging that in their heyday, movie musicals were the movie-going experience. Ever since the advent of sound, musicals were a consistently popular staple. This was Hollywood's golden age, a time notoriously known for the rise of the movie star and the rigid studio system. And during this time, movie musicals were aplenty. And you may be wondering how these movies were promoted during such a primitive time in film history. Roadshows were these essentially big expensive tours where these big expensive movies can be toured and showed across the country. Think of it as like a modern music artist, but for a movie. Rather than the cheaper produced movie that you could catch at your local theater, these would come through town and be like special events. For those in rural America, it was their chance to experience the culture of a stage musical, which they probably wouldn't have been able to afford to see otherwise. But they could afford to take the entire family and see this movie musical roadshow. The idea of a movie musical being like the popular thing to see, it dwindled over time with the rise of other film genre. But for the most part, movie musicals would be able to continue to find their audience, especially if the musical itself had time to find their audience on stage and accumulated generations of fans. In the decade leading up to Mamma Mia, we had 2001's Moulin Rouge, which more than tripled its budget and was also a jukebox musical. A year later, we got Chicago, and that received critical acclaim and is still regarded as one of the best movie musicals of all time. It is very good. That movie more than septupled its budget, and it won 6 Oscars. A year before Mamma Mia, we got Hairspray, which nearly doubled its budget and is also regarded as one of the best movie musicals of all time. These 3 movie musicals, they definitely all share similarities. They all have all-star cast lineups. While there are sprinkles of actors who had been working on stage, making their way over to the screen, a surefire way to guarantee a movie musical success is to put a movie star in the movie musical. Boom. Cha-ching. Yeah, hi, editing me here. I don't understand how I did not bring up Dreamgirls. Literally one of the best movie musicals ever made, starring a bunch of celebrities. It follows the formula that we were just talking about, yet I forgot to bring it up. One of my favorite movie musicals, you dumb drag queen. And in 2008, we arrive at Mamma Mia. I told you we get there. The film was produced by Judy Kramer, who, if you remember, produced the original stage show, along with Gary Getzman. It was directed by Felicia Lloyd with a screenplay by Katherine Johnson. So it was a nearly identical team who went from the stage show to the movie. The film version of Mamma Mia keeps up with the tradition of an all-star cast, few song rearrangements, and several omissions. It's pretty much the stage show in movie format. And this film is interesting. With the medium of film, the filmmakers were able to flesh out the setting in clearly a more visual way. And with a more visual medium, they were able to bring more fantastical elements to the musical numbers. However, and it is a large however, this film feels kind of, for lack of a better word, sloppy. While the musical at its core is meant to be fun and silly with a lot of heart, its translation to the screen feels drunk.
Do you want another one? Do you want another one?
I don't feel very alone on this. The critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes comments on the film's fluffy, fun, rough singing voices and a campy tone. There is something to be said about the singing in this film, which is primarily good, but there's a tinge of, oh, we're having fun. We're not taking it all so seriously. Which could be a response to the other musicals that we discussed leading up to this. Maybe this was sort of like the not so serious musical, which I think is where that element of camp comes in. Like, the film is saying, we know we're silly and dumb, so it's okay if this is all silly and dumb. Mark Kermode of BBC Radio 5 Live enjoyed the film, but also said the closest you get to see A-list actors doing drunken karaoke. Mark nails this. The film has very much a karaoke vibe to it, and I love karaoke. I host karaoke all the time. I love karaoke. It almost feels like the actors are just singing ABBA songs in Greece. One of my favorite things about this movie is the behind the scenes pictures and videos. Like, these people clearly partied hard together. Like, I would literally give anything to be absolutely blasted with Meryl Streep and Christine Baranski. So those elements of like fun and looseness, it really contributes positively towards the cast's chemistry, but it might slightly miss in telling the film's story. The film absolutely has its strong points. Notably, we have Meryl Streep delivering a roaring rendition of The Winner Takes It All. You have the breeze of the waves making her scarf spin around her as the ocean waves crash beneath her. It's typically included in any The Best of Meryl Streep compilation. It's so good. Do I look like her today? That's what I was trying to give today. So yeah, the movie was so reviewed, but it did find its audience. It made back its budget at the box office 12 times over. And it was the 5th highest grossing film in 2008. And if y'all forget film in 2008, I'm talking The Dark Knight, which made $1 billion. Indiana Jones 4, we have James Bond, Iron Man. This is a stacked group. IGN described 2008 as one of the biggest years ever for movies. Our little movie musical about a bunch of drunkos on a Greek island. It was number 5. That's nuts. So that is Mamma Mia 1. Extremely successful, beloved stage musical adapted to an extremely successful, beloved movie, but with so-so reviews. And a huge difference between this movie and the other movies ranked on that 2008 list is that this movie was a standalone story. Many of those films were part or are part of extended universes. This is important to keep in mind because what are we left with in 2008? We're left with Mamma Mia, a standalone, so-so reviewed, yet extremely successful movie musical. But as we know already, our story is far from over. Act 3, SOS. Musical movies in a changing landscape. Why is Mamma Mia? Exclamation point. Here we go again. Why make another movie musical? How make another movie musical? Were we, as a society, asking for this? The answer, for several reasons, is yes. As we were entering the 2010s, the landscape of film was, as it always does, shifting. Movie musicals in the 2000s definitely had a renaissance of sorts, but just like how we saw in roadshows, we definitely saw a dwindling in that popularity. The film Burlesque in 2010 was successful, but not to those heights that we had seen. Les Mis in 2012 definitely aimed to follow that previous formula from beloved stage show to prestigious movie musical, and that was a monumental success. But there is a caveat. You'll probably be able to recall that one of the big campaigns of that film was that all of the actors were singing live.
This is the first time anyone's ever tried it like this.
The campaign was primarily about the live singing.
Every single person is singing every take live.
Singing live.
By recording it live.
Singing live.
Singing live.
So some felt that the live singing push felt way more like a gimmick. It almost suggests to me that there was a certain amount of embarrassment. It almost suggests a feeling of like, regardless of the shortcomings that yes, it is a musical, you can't deny that they're singing live.
Singing live.
Which makes it prestigious and good. When I think about the idea of a movie musical specifically requiring a gimmick, it kind of questions the validity of the movie musical in the first place. Is the movie musical itself not enough? Are we not satisfied with the fact that the characters just start singing at random points? Are we so cynical that we have to bring this element of realism with this gimmick of live singing in order to take this film seriously? Is that what we're saying? Kinda. In 2014, we got a fresh take on Annie, which has had several cinematic adaptations. The film was successful commercially, but was met with pretty dismal reviews. If we're identifying that Les Mis had this gimmick promotion, I think this can be applied to Annie as well. The gimmick of being updated to present day in 2014, having Sia come in as a popular music artist and to update all the songs. I would say it's very much in gimmick territory. And based on the reviews, probably too much. Skipping ahead to a couple of years in 2017, this is around the time that they are filming a supposed Mamma Mia 2. So The Greatest Showman opened in theaters and it was a huge success. And I think that was because it was a response to what musicals had been in the past couple of years. We had projects like Glee, the Pitch Perfect series, High School Musical, Camp Rock, The Descendants, and The Greatest Showman to me, even with all of its strengths, is the most like gimmicky arrival and response to all of those projects. It is a plethora of pop-friendly songs that are so easily divorced from the material. It had a pretty thin plot, and a la Glee, it had a very much I'm an outcast and I'm proud plot. This is Gimmick City, baby. And they did it very, very well. We've arrived at the place where the movie musical has kind of flanderized itself. So the definition of flanderization is the process through which a fictional character's essential traits are oversimplified to the point where they constitute their entire personality, or at least exaggerated while other traits remain. Obviously, I'm not talking about a fictional character, I'm talking about a plot, I'm talking about a thing. But at this point, gone was a storied history of a show making its way to the silver screen. Now we have original products tailor-made for film and television, and they're filled to the brim with certain gimmicks. I want to clarify, gimmicks are not bad, they are just are. But at its core, over time, we've become more embarrassed of musicals. They're lame, not cool. Superhero movies are cool. Prestige horror is cool. Movie musicals are what theater nerds watch. Unless we have gimmicks, maybe then they're cool. The Greatest Showman is cool actually, because Hugh Jackman and Zac Efron are broing out. How very cool. Cool. So cool. My friends, the plot has been lost a bit on movie musicals. A medium once the highest standard of cinematic art, lost to commercial viability. Maybe someday we'll have a Hamilton movie, or perhaps maybe a Wicked movie, or perhaps maybe a Wicked movies. All seemed lost, except for one little big film in 2008. It's called Mamma Mia. Could there be something more there? Was there more delicious milk to claim from this udder of a story? I'm sorry. Act 4, Dancing Queens. The introduction of the MMCU. Apparently the folks over at Universal Pictures believe that there was more Mamma Mia to be had. Announced in May of 2017, a little more than a year before the film's release, Ol Parker was announced to write and direct the film, a departure from the original stage show and movie team.
Interesting.
Diving into Ol Parker's work, up until this point he is most known for the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel film series. Not exactly the safest choice to the sequel to a very successful movie musical, but this is Mamma Mia, who needs Steven Spielberg? General expectations for this movie were probably really low. The first film was kind of successful without trying too hard. It had decades of goodwill with fans of ABBA and the stage show. Remember that guy said it was like comfort food? A burger is a burger even when it's not that good of a burger. I'll still eat it. So going into this project, there really wasn't a reason to try that hard. Again, however, and it's a big however, what if this mysterious sequel with the lowest of expectations had the most limitless of potential? A month after the film was announced, it was made known that the majority of the ensemble cast would be returning to do this film. I'm sure the check was cute, but I have to assume that these actors read the script and were like, wait, this is actually pretty good. Again, expectations were low. So there had to have been some kind of bar that was being cleared based on what the performers are reading. What is the story of Mamma Mia 2, subtitled Here We Go Again? The creators had two options, like all writers do when embarking on a sequel: the past and the future. If I was to spitball off the top of my head what I think a Mamma Mia movie sequel would be, how are Sophie and Sky doing now that they've embarked on their adventure and they're seeing the world? Or in a prequel direction, how did Donna meet Sophie's three possible dads and end up on this island? Thinking about both of these plots, it's kind of thin. I imagine that there are some scripts that are iterations of either one or the other. So the question is, how were they able to rope back together this incredible ensemble of actors? Meryl, Christine, our dear sweet Prince Pierce. The answer, porque no los dos. What if Here We Go Again was both a prequel and a sequel? And one more burning question for you. What if these prequel and sequel elements not only informed each other, but mirrored each other and inspired each other and flowed together in a way that only a movie musical could? The answer may surprise you. Act 5, Angel Eyes. The past and future converge. I asked, what is the story of Mamma Mia! Here we go again. The story that was deemed by the cast and crew alike worthy of making. Here we go. Sophie, now 10 years older, is sending out letters for the grand opening of the hotel previously ran by Donna. We learn that our beloved Donna, in between this film and the previous film, has passed away. That's right. This film is drawing its line in the sand right out the gate by taking their queen off the chessboard. Do you know how many people go to the movies just for Meryl Streep? This is a risk, and it's a good risk. It frees up some space to allow the character to garner some mythos. We understand how this character has met her end, which allows we, the audience, and Sophie to explore this character's beginning. We flash back to University of Oxford, 1979. We are reintroduced to Donna, now played by Lily James, graduating from college. Hi, editing me here one more time, I promise. I feel like now would be as good of a time as ever to acknowledge the plot holes in this movie before we proceed to actually breaking down the story, because the plot holes are not what this essay is about, so here's the bulk. Like I said earlier, the order in which Sam, Bill, and Harry is different than the first movie, than this movie. Donna's mother, Ruby, is supposed to be dead, according to the first movie. The way in which Donna meets certain characters is different, and the timeline doesn't make a lot of sense. If the flashbacks take place in 1979, that means Sophie was born around 1980, which means that if she's 20 years old, like she says she is in Mamma Mia, that means the first film takes place in 2000, which means 10 years later, it's 2010, even though Sophie looks like she's a very 2018 looking iPhone right here. It's a mess, but it's my mess. Now, I had only known of Lily James from the Cinderella remake, and she was lovely in that film, gal. And in this movie, she fucking nails it, dude. She just like gets Donna. She gets this movie. She knows what movie she's in. There was some kind of insane character study going on. The Donna that we know from the first film is earthy, stubborn, grounded, kind of no nonsense, and everyone around her is constantly reminding her of the girl she truly was and still is inside. In this film, we meet that girl in all of her glory. She's magnetic, she's sparkly, airy, she's down to earth, but more down to have a good time. She's untethered. She's a free spirit, but things still bothered her. She's emotional, but trusts in the journey of it all. She forms bonds with ease because she's open to the world. Lily James conveys that free spirit like her golden hair just flows in the breeze. How she smiles with her whole face. Not only does she exude that spirit, but she also inspires the people around her, even one of her professors who joins in with her in When I Kissed the Teacher. This teacher doesn't seem like she's much fun, but Donna's song invites her to share in this joy. I'm referring to the first musical sequence in the film where we meet Donna and a young Tanya and Rosie. It serves a musical purpose in a very unique way. Like I mentioned earlier, the song in a musical typically is when a character is experiencing emotions when words are simply not enough. Additionally, songs in musicals are either diegetic or non-diegetic, meaning they are songs that exist in this universe, or the songs are actually being sung to other people on stage, or they're simply within the character's inner life. This sequence breaks both of these rules immediately. Donna is addressing her university class in her valedictorian speech and reveals this song. She is performing to everyone in the room, but then the number progresses and becomes more and more fantastical. It becomes assumingly non-diegetic. I don't believe the ensemble is literally singing this song while riding bikes in a strict formation. I don't think I'm expected to believe that. I don't feel like the movie is expecting me to believe it's one way or another. It just is. I don't think Donna is singing When I Kissed the Teacher because she's experiencing a large emotion. This song isn't sadness or yearning. This song is who Donna is. Our intro to Donna is that she is carefree, maybe gets in trouble every so often, but is good-natured. And she's a performer. She wants to see the world and put on a show. We explore this further in the next scene where we learn Donna's mother, also a singer, skipped out on her graduation. Donna is hurt by this, but it's perhaps her stubbornness, something we'll see further down the line, that will not keep her down. She ventures into the world. In the present, Sophie is dealing with expectations she feels like have been thrust upon her. Now that her mother is gone, she feels an obligation to renovate and reopen the hotel, now named the Hotel Belladonna, in honor of her, and have it be successful in her memory. The hotel, which was once falling apart, has been beautifully restored, and everyone around Sophie exhibits praise over the work she's done. There's a sense that it is not enough, especially with the fact that Sky, Sophie's now husband, has been away for large spans of time due to work. He's been offered a job in New York City that would take him out of Greece permanently, and this conflict pulls us into One of Us. This song, unlike the previous song, was in the original musical, but it was omitted from the first film. I am pretty thrilled with its placement here. In the original Mamma Mia stage show, it is a song primarily sung by Donna, and I think it captures what she's feeling pretty well. But I think here in this movie, it serves an even greater purpose. This song gives us such a deliberate sense of where these characters are at. We know them already, but now we're catching up with them. This couple that was once carefree and passionate has kind of lost its spark. They are now fully in reality, and maybe even a little cynical. I'm sure many of us can agree that how we felt in 2008 is vastly different than how we were feeling in 2018. And even more so now in 2025. It's like these characters who were once just ideas strung together with ABBA pop songs haven't had many songs to sing since we last saw them 10 years ago. It's really relatable. The emotional weight of it all really comes through. Back in the past, Donna has made it to Paris, and she meets a young man named Harry. Harry pretty much right off the bat lets Donna know that he is a virgin and would love to sleep with her. And to further convince her, he decides to woo her with a rendition of Waterloo, which is a signature ABBA song. It is the song that they sang when they won Eurovision. I recall a lot of this film's marketing using this musical sequence, and rightfully so. It's so fun. This might sound crazy, but it's the most ABBA sequence of any Mamma Mia number. I'm sure certain choices, cinematography-wise, were made to pay homage to ABBA music videos, and those videos are, in the best way possible, weird. In terms of it being a song where characters have to express themselves, It's a bit of a stretch, but Harry here is equating wanting to sleep with Donna like Napoleon fighting a war. So that to me is pretty passionate. And then they sleep together. Potential dad number 1, check. Anyway, Donna has ditched Harry to venture off to Greece, where she's heard of this magical island where she believes her destiny lies. Harry goes after her but loses track. Donna meets Bill, a handsome Swede, on a boat. He similarly is smitten with Donna and offers her a ride to Kalokari. Now someone will probably say, really? She's making all of these guys fall in love with her. Yes, she is. She is Lily James. I'm sure this happens to her in real life every single day. Probably the most realistic part of this movie. Bill acknowledges this with, why did it have to be me? He's love-struck but annoyed that he's so enthralled with this girl, and then towards the end we hear Harry sing the same. Perfect, got it, not complicated, totally get it. Important thing to note so far. This movie is taking itself way more seriously than the previous film. What was once a plot going through the motions in a somewhat drunken haze now feels grounded in reality because it must deal with 2 timelines. Things need to be organized. I also can't emphasize enough how on their A-game everyone is in this movie. In particular, this cast playing the 1979 crew did not come to fuck around. They are all having so much fun while also taking this very seriously. They know that in order for the events of the first film to have weight, those stakes need to be established here. And they do that with such ease. You almost forget when you're watching that we know the aftermath of these interactions 20 years down the line because you're invested in the people that they are now. And that is great. Back in the present, Tanya and Rosie have arrived in all of their glory. They arrive with some fresh new baggage. They've lost their friend. Tanya seems to have a deep understanding that death is a part of life. You could say Tanya's character is a bit underdeveloped, but Christine Baranski is just so charming, I don't even care. Rosie, on the other hand, cries every time Donna is mentioned. Sophie gives them a tour of the hotel, and we begin the I Have a Dream sequence, which is the first of these songs to have a full musical sequence in both films. While we walk through this beautiful refurbished Greek oasis, we weave to the past, where it is Donna singing this song, imagining the potential in this barn she stumbled upon, which would eventually become the Hotel Belladonna. This is such a special sequence because while Donna is now no longer with us, her presence is all over this place because it was her dream. It's Donna's dream, not Sophie's dream. In the past, a storm happens on the island, and in the chaos, Donna finds a horse in the barn in distress from the... Wow. So many prepositional phrases. Donna finds a horse in this barn in distress from the storm. Seeking help, she waves down a young Sam riding his motorcycle. He helps her and the horse, and like so many men before, they begin a whirlwind of a romance. This one is different because this is the only relationship where the intense feelings are pretty evenly matched. Potential dad number 2, check. I'm sure this is all going to work out. This romance is illustrated through the musical sequence, The Name of the Game. Donna, for the first time in the movie since maybe seeing her feelings about her mother, has strong, vulnerable feelings for this dude. By the end of the number, it's revealed Sam has a girlfriend, fiance, situationship of some sort back at home, and is heartbroken, singing Knowing Me, Knowing You. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the weakest part of the movie for me. This is supposed to be the moment where Donna's shit is rocked. These events right here are supposed to be like a determining emotional factor for the next 20 years. This is where Donna's like grudge begins. This is a moment where a certain level of levity and airiness is taken from her. I personally blame the song. I think it's a pretty weak song that's not doing enough for these characters, which is a pretty good reason why it was cut from the first movie. If I could have it my way, I would have put Under Attack here. Traditionally, it opens up the second act of the stage show when Sophie is stressed about her 3 possible dads all planning to walk her down the aisle. Maybe it could be used here to really show how hurt she is, because right now, she's just not there enough to make sense for where we meet her in Meryl Streep territory. You're telling me the breakup that prompted Knowing Me, Knowing You is the same breakup that inspired The Winner Takes It All? After Sam leaves, young Tanya and Rosie arrive to visit Donna in her time of need, and they perform the title song Mamma Mia together in an act of triumph. So this number comes off as more fun rather than like a take the power back moment. At the end of the song, Bill has returned to the island for Donna just when she needs a shoulder to cry on. Quick little C-plot introduced. Rosie has a huge crush on Bill, but only has eyes at the moment for Donna. We know from the previous film that eventually Rosie and Bill would get together, but sometime between the events of these two films, they have now called it off. But yes, for now, it is just unrequited infatuation on Rosie's end. After Donna leaves with Bill, it is revealed Sam has returned with the news he's called off his engagement to be with Donna. But it's too late, and Sam leaves once more, equally heartbroken. Again, this is kind of weak for me. I just feel like no one tried hard enough. I do think we have to take into account that prequels have an extremely tough job of being the story told before the story that's already been told. So in order to not have plot holes or contradictions or paradoxes, it's a delicate game of operation in which you're trying to make things make sense. So looking at this situation, if they did too much to rock these characters in the past, I think we would be left with more questions later. So yeah, Donna on the rebound pretty much pity fucks Bill. Potential dad number 3, check. With 3 lovers finally shtupped, it's time for Donna to get pregnant. Yes! At the same time, we're going to get some setup done for the first movie, where Donna is permitted to stay in the farmhouse by Bill's great aunt Sophia as long as she takes care of it. Neat! This is pretty much the last time the 1979 plot stands as its own separate story. Besides a birth, this story of a young Donna has reached its narrative conclusion. And from this point, it will be moving forward to more serve the present day narrative. So we will see you in a bit, Lily James. Now, I must take a breath to acknowledge a shift, a ridge, a departure. This is the part of the movie that could be described as a roller coaster to the credits. And it's the part where this movie gets really, really good. Not just good, I would say great. Not just great, I would say this movie was nothing short of God handing it down to us in all of its glory. Up until now, this movie's been good. It's been a pretty solid balancing act, all to validate that this thing exists. But from this point on, it's nothing short of ecstasy. It's truly an escalator ride to heaven. It's uninterrupted serotonin for like a solid 45 minutes. They should show this part of the film in schools to help children with conflict resolution. Open the schools. Intrigued? Act 6. Super Trooper. Why is Mamma Mia? Here we go again. Moving forward, I will do my best to remain I was going to say as unbiased as possible, but from here on out, it is a perfect film. In the present, while being treated to a spa appointment, our trio of ladies, the Dynamos 2.0, Sophie, Tanya, and Rosie, finally come clean about some feelings. Sophie confides in her surrogate aunts that she and Sky are having problems. These two are kind of the best people to share this with. One, because Tanya has had a wild track record of husbands, and from her perspective, Sophie is beyond okay. And Rosie shares that she and Bill broke up. This pulls us into one of my favorite musical sequences, Angel Eyes. This is easily one of my favorite ABBA songs in general, and it's used perfectly here. First, as a diegetic recounting to Sophie about Bill's wandering eye done in a hilarious way, and then it turns into an ensemble number where everyone performing can relate in some way to falling for someone that has the great potential to hurt you. The cinematography is inspired here. The costume department put Tanya and Rosie in these cerulean caftans that flow through this gorgeous space and pull our eye from room to room. It has some subliminal suggestion to wings. It feels like the cast is floating through the song. Again, how this is shot feels like an ABBA tribute, similar to Waterloo earlier in the film. There's a shot in particular where the camera rounds around Tanya, and on the word paradise, she hits a perfectly pointed high kick with the help of these two gentlemen lifting her across the courtyard. It's perfect. The vibes are perfect. The number is so funny but sharp, conveying emotions but in a well-rounded way. It's a mature number. There's a certain level of sophistication involved in what the number is doing. Meanwhile, as if they are being summoned by this perfect song, Harry leaves his business meeting in Japan, Bill ditches an awards ceremony he's being honored at, and Sky leaves New York. Once they are all in Greece, they are stopped when they find out there are no boats to the island. I failed to mention that there was a mini plot that occurred earlier, but in the past, Bill and Donna helped this guy Alexio declare his feelings to a woman he loves. I didn't mention it because it's a cute little scene that doesn't do much. Alexio shows up in the present to get our men to Kalokari. ballet, and an absolutely fabulous ensemble of gorgeous backup dancers. In Sophie's possible lowest, in a distance, she sees boats. And as soon as she and we, the audience, recognize it is our men gliding towards us, the piano trill of Dancing Queen washes over the film. The euphoric at the top of the song charge you with endorphins, just as Sophie feels joy and relief seeing people she loves making their way towards her. But she does not see Sky yet. We, the audience, experience it too. Up until this point, we are experiencing this story in two separate timelines. There's a separation, there's a distance, keeping these characters who care so much about each other separate. We, the audience, have the luxury of seeing all of these characters through time and space. Sophie does not possess such gifts. We don't really know how long she hasn't seen these people. We get the idea that Sky has been away for quite some time, but her possible dads? Who knows how long it's been since she's seen them? We get busy in our lives. As much as we'd like to believe that these characters never have to be away from each other, they are away from each other. Just as 10 years passed between the production of these films, 10 years have passed in universe as well. These characters have been living their lives. They've experienced tragedy together. These relationships have deepened. And now, with the magic of Dancing Queen, a shimmering, euphoric song that was sung a decade before is reprised once again, not just as a, remember when we did this in the last movie? It's a homecoming. Its pieces becoming whole again. At the end of the song, Sophie finally sees Sky, runs to him and jumps in his arms. It feels like time slows down. Who knows what challenges this couple, still so young, have faced since we last saw them. But it doesn't matter, because every little problem becomes so trivial when you are able to look at the big picture and just be with the people you love. Once the dust of Dancing Queen has settled and our ensemble is, for the most part, reunited, Sophie shares her fresh perspective with Sky, saying she doesn't care about the expectations she set for herself for the hotel's success. She doesn't care about Sky's work and that they'll figure it out, because she's never felt closer to her mom than right now, and share that she and Sky are pregnant. She acknowledges how she has this group of people who surround her and love her and knows everything is going to be okay. And thinks about how her mom didn't have that. But the one person Donna did have was Sophie. Sophie realizes that since Donna has passed away, she has done the absolute most to try to be Donna, so as to not let her down. But like many characters have said, that would be impossible. Sophie is not Donna and will never be Donna. But she is Donna's daughter and is all of the best parts of her that continue to live on and return the love back to all of these people in her life. Just feet away, Bill and Rosie reunite, but admit that they would never work because they were unable to be truly vulnerable with each other. In a moment of silence, Donna is brought up by Rosie and Bill starts to cry, just as Rosie did when we were reintroduced to her in this film. Bill and Rosie might not be the perfect couple, but they are connected by their dear friend who they have both lost. But then, in the distance, in a helicopter, we have an uninvited party guest, a Maleficent of sorts. Who could it be? Everyone's here, right? Sophie, Sky, Tanya, Rosie. Who is it? The music is swelling, so it has to be someone important, right? Mother f***ing Cher. Cher. It's Cher, bitch. I can't emphasize enough the Cher of it all. I want to preface this passage by saying this. Cher does not need to be here. If Cher was not here, we would collectively survive. Why is Cher here? Two things. One, Cher was sitting at her home in Malibu and read this script and thought, this is a story worth telling. In the 15 minutes we receive of Cher on screen, we get a full character arc. This isn't just Cher on the Mamma Mia set. This is Ruby, Donna's mom, Sophie's grandma, here to join in on the festivities. Sophie makes it clear that she was not invited. We are all well aware that there is a strain on this family. I wonder what Donna's death was like for Ruby. Were they ever able to reconcile? If you remember at the beginning of the movie, she didn't show up for Donna's graduation. There is a level of self-involvement that consumes Ruby. It's always been the Ruby show. It's a drastically different dynamic than the world Donna creates on this island. I wonder if Ruby has ever even been to Kalokari. We don't know how involved she's been. There's a certain closed offness Ruby has. At the same time, even if she is unwelcome, that won't stop her from deciding that moving forward, she wants to be a presence in her granddaughter's life. Sophie reveals to the entire hotel that she's pregnant and that to honor her late mother, it's a dream to perform with the Dynamos. As they take the stage and sing this heartfelt song, we receive glimpses of the past for the first time in the 1979 storyline since it initially concluded. We see a pregnant Donna going into labor, and the Dynamos sing I Have Been Waiting for You, underscoring Donna meeting one of the true loves of her life, Sophie. Up until this point, we have this idea of a younger Donna being this free spirit, light, carefree, exploring the world. She's transformed since we first met her at When I Kissed the Teacher. She's found her place in the world. She's met men who have touched her heart. That heart has been broken. And finally, she's met her soulmate. I've heard many people describe how they feel like they were born to be a parent. I understand that there's so many things in life to be accomplished besides procreating, but from what I understand of Donna, the person, Sophie is what she's been waiting for and searching for since she set out on her quest at the beginning of the story. She's found her, and regardless of what happens next, they have each other. Okay, quick share detour. Share tour. Share. Ruby is so proud of Sophie and in turn, Donna. It's touching, and you can feel that Sophie, though reluctant, has a space for her grandmother in her life. Wanting to thank Sky, Sophie turns to Senor Cienfuegos to know where he is. I have not mentioned Senor Cienfuegos, the hotel manager, yet because he's mostly chilling in the background as a surrogate grandfather figure to Sophie and eye candy to Tanya and Rosie. He's so sexy and mysterious until Ruby recognizes him. She reveals that he is her long-lost love, Fernando. Ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, this is what she came for. The blaring instrumentals begin and Cher serenades Senor Cienfuegos and the audience in the signature sultry Spanish love song. It's wild to me that this song wasn't involved in the Mamma Mia stage show at all. I guess it just doesn't make sense in that story. I don't know why the song would be in the story unless there was literally a written in character named Fernando. The fact that we have hidden this man within this pretty unassuming hotel manager just for him to be revealed as this enigma of a woman's match, it's magic. As they meet on stage and the second chorus swells, a cacophony of fireworks shimmer behind them, a glittery explosion of sheer joy that is experiencing this story. You must ask, why did Cher want to do Mamma Mia? Here we go again. She wanted to play a character with an arc, with a fabulous payoff of a musical number. I'm skipping ahead in real life, post-film, because there was a reason why Cher would release an album of all ABBA covers. She was clearly touched by the experience of making this film. In the epilogue, we jump ahead 9 months forward to the christening of Sophie's son in the same church at the end of the first film. Surrounded by all of her loved ones once more, we see echoes of the past with young Donna at the christening of her daughter, Sophie. These moments overlap until Sophie comes face to face with a returning Meryl Streep as present-day Donna. That's fucking right. This film, which was so bold to take their queen off the chessboard in order to tell this story. This is not a flashback. This is not the future. Sophie is bringing her child into the world just like Donna did so many years ago. Donna sings "My Love, My Life" to Sophie before Sophie joins in, understanding her mom for everything that she ever is and was. I want to go back to the first movie where Donna sings "Slipping Through My Fingers" non-diegetically to Sophie. She is watching her daughter literally slip away, acknowledging that it is time to let her go and to live her own life. What are these movies about? They are about love and family and how we fight for those things. We can surround ourselves with an entire universe of people who love us. In the way that we want to hold on to these people and things forever, nothing lasts forever. Holding on is just as important as learning to let go. Donna learns this lesson in the first film. Sophie, acknowledging that she is all of the best parts of her mother, knows that she can't hold on to someone who is no longer with her. So with all of the love in the universe, Donna lets her go once again, to let Sophie live her own life and to make her own choices. Why is Mamma Mia Here We Go Again? Because this was a story worth telling. Now you know the story, and now we can say goodbye. Just kidding. You thought we were done. This is a musical! And no musical is complete without a motherfucking curtain call. Now, I can't think of many movie musicals that have like a proper curtain call. A spotlight from where? Heaven shines a light down on the silhouette of who we can pretty immediately see is Ruby. An instrumental that combines Mamma Mia the song and Voulez-Vous culminates in Ruby beginning Super Trooper, a proper encore of the film. This song is another song that returns from the previous film. In the first film, it is played as one of Donna and the Dynamo's signature songs, nearly played for laughs. Here, as Ruby approaches the first chorus, the camera swings around to reveal young Donna, Tanya, and Rosie. We are bending time and space. Characters transcending timelines to unite for this song that, at its essence, brings them all together. The trio point to the balcony where Sophie and Sky sing their bit. The last time we saw them singing together was One of Us, so it's nice, just for a second, to see that they are in a much better place. They point to the camera, a way to reveal the younger Bill, Sam, and Harry dancing with the younger Dynamos. The lights dim on the sextuplet as they point to the roof, where Meryl Streep as older Donna leads the second verse. It fills you with joy and sadness and every emotion between to see her be part of this ensemble one last time. Present-day Tanya and Rosie appear behind her to complete the original Dynamos. Entering the second chorus, this mimics the first film with all the gravitas of emotions that we've earned over the second story. We cut over to Senor Fernando Cienfuegos, where he and the present-day Sam, Bill, and Harry have a seat at the bar while filling in the bass voices of the chorus, suggesting to us that, yeah, we're too old to be doing this shit. And what, like you thought we weren't going to do this? This is what we live for, Henny. In a truly moving part of the bridge, Meryl Streep, Donna, and present-day Sam are reunited for the first and only time in this movie. It's tragic that we never got to see them enjoy their life together as a couple, as the last time we saw them together, that time had just begun. I've spoken here or there about some lyrics in the film, but I did want to bring up the bridge to Super Trooper. So I'll be there when you arrive. The sight of you will prove to me I'm still alive, and when you take me in your arms and pull me tight, I know it's gonna mean so much tonight. Aren't these just a bunch of pop songs from the 70s? How could it be possible that just mere minutes before this movie ends, we're able to breathe so much meaning into these lyrics? As we enter the final chorus, Ruby returns to take us home. We cut to see older and younger Donna joyously singing and dancing together. Any cynicism of thinking that these actors showed up to set, did their work, and hit the road melts away when you could see Meryl and Lily, who you could have never imagined playing the same role together on screen, would be able to be together like this in pure joy. Who knows what kind of conversations these two actors had? We cut to a younger and older Bill dancing together. It's amazing to see these two actors play the same person and to truly capture the essence of that person. We cut to an older and younger Tanya, and holy shit, that is the same person being played by two actresses. We cut to a young Harry attempting to dance with his older counterpart, and it's just not working. We see a younger and older Rosie back to back, literally smiling, having fun. Finally, we arrive at an older and younger Sam. Younger Sam flips his microphone in the air and catches it. Older Sam follows suit, flips his microphone, catches it. It's perfection. I like to believe that all these actor pairs basically got to decide what they were going to do when the camera cut to them, and the director got a couple of takes of each. In the final shot, older Donna tenderly joins Ruby, and the rest of the entire ensemble join the frame. As the final lyrics are sung, a spotlight is shown over the cast. This group, young and old, past and present, sing, "Somewhere in the crowd, there's you." And they all point away, where the spotlight allows the credits to play, and this movie officially comes to an end. And that, my friends, is Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Act 7, the winner takes it all. Impact and aftermath. Mamma Mia! Here We Go Again debuted at the US box office with $35 million. It was an over 24% increase of the first film, which debuted at the box office at around $27.8 million. It was a joint venture between the US and the UK, and in the UK, it was the second highest grossing film of 2018, only behind Avengers Infinity War. It ended its run with $402.3 million. The film was made on a $75 million budget, which means it made back its budget 5 times over. The film didn't make as much money as its predecessor, but there are two very important things to acknowledge here. One, the movie-going landscape had changed dramatically since 2008. I saw this movie 2 or 3 times in theaters, fairly cheap, thanks to MoviePass. Now remember MoviePass? Wild. The second big thing was, of course, the first Mamma Mia was going to succeed. It had decades of ABBA-loving people and musical theater-loving people going to see this thing on screen that they knew they were going to love. The sequel was an original story. There was very weird expectations. Most people were like,
Mamma Mia, a sequel? That sounds dumb.
And yeah, maybe it was dumb. Speaking of sequels, you guys, sequels aren't usually good. Like, yeah, they usually make a lot of money. I want to use Marvel as an example here. Like, we're seeing now in a post-Avengers Endgame world, Marvel is struggling to find their special sauce again. And that is because They are now in the business of sequeling their sequels on sequels on sequels to sequel. I am not alone in that this movie made a larger impact than the first one. Mark Kermode, a reviewer for BBC Radio, he was the guy that said that the first film felt like drunken karaoke. Now writing for The Observer, gave the film 5 stars and called Here We Go Again a slick sequel, delivering sharp one-liners, joyously contrived plot twists, and an emotional punch that left our critic reeling.
Did you hear that?
The sequel is slick. The one-liners are sharp. The plot is joyously contrived. Isn't life joyously contrived? Isn't it joyously contrived on our best days? An emotional punch that left our critic reeling. Mark was tapped in that day. There are other reviews that are less than glowing but encapsulate some incredibly valid observations. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian said, "More enjoyable than I thought, but please, enough now." I will give Peter this. If you're not like a Mamma Mia fan, this will not be your cup of tea. If you don't like movie musicals or musicals in general, this will be a tough watch. But even good old Pete can't deny that he was going in ready to drink the hateration and holleration in this dancery. And he came out a better man. No other review takes the cake like Stephanie Zacharek of Time, who said, "Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is atrocious and wonderful. It's all the reasons you should never go to the movies, and all the reasons why you should race to get a ticket. Stephanie, I could kiss you on the lips, but I won't because we're strangers." Yin and yang, don't laugh at me. Yin and yang in Chinese philosophy are described as two opposite yet complementary forces that are believed to make up the whole of existence. Atrocious and wonderful. All the reasons why you should never go to the movies and why you should race to get a ticket. There is something to be said about a film that finds wonder and joy in its atrocity. The interplay of yin and yang creates qi, which is the material principle of the universe. There's something to be said about a film that demonstrates all of the worst and best parts of itself coming together to just be. Act 8. My love, my life. Here we go again. This movie is not perfect. It's far from perfect. Some people straight up call it bad, like not good. But at the same time, it's perfect because maybe unlike the first film, this movie not only wholeheartedly knows what it is and what it wants to be, and it's done with an overwhelming amount of joy. Back in the beginning of this video, I called this film one of the most joyous films I've ever seen, both because of what's happening on screen and how it makes you feel when you watch it. I can't remember who said it. It was probably another person critically examining this film, but they mentioned how the purest reason for this film's existence is the positivity and light it exudes. Movies are so obviously made for different reasons, especially big movies, especially studio movies, especially big studio movies. As a grown adult, I have a hard time suspending my disbelief at most times. I am aware of the cynicism in making a movie like this. I can only imagine a bunch of corporate suits at Universal Pictures around a conference table, twiddling their thumbs, thinking about their prized heifer that Mamma Mia is and how they can squeeze out a sequel that will give them another hefty return. I know that's what the intent was. Of course, we want to imagine living in a world where people made this movie because they loved these stories and these characters and they wanted to continue it. And somehow through all of the studio meddling that comes from making a movie like this film not only managed to arrive to the audience intact, not only somehow superior to its predecessor, but with joy and hope and heart shining from its core. When I think of, off the top of my head, some of my favorite movies, I think of, in no particular order, Beaches with Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey, 13 Going on 30 with Jennifer Gardner and Mark Ruffalo, Steel Magnolia with Julia Roberts and Sally Field, and Dolly Parton and Olympia Dukakis and Daryl Hannah and Shirley MacLaine, and Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Now, I know what you're thinking. Those films are gay. And yes, correct. But I rank all of these films so high because I think of my expectations and how they adjust when it comes to how I consume the media I love. I can understand why a good movie is a good movie. I can understand why Forrest Gump is better than From Justin to Kelly. That essay will come someday. However, I feel like I've been having this conversation with so many people lately about how you should adjust your expectations when you go to see a movie or watch TV. You can go to every movie and expect the same caliber, and more often than not, you will be disappointed. I have never really been or wanted to be that kind of consumer. I most of the time would rather go into a movie theater thinking that this thing I'm gonna see is going to be just okay and be pleasantly surprised. I, like many, walked into Mamma Mia ! Here we go again, laughing at the idea of the thing and expecting it to be at its worst, bad and lazy and stupid and silly, and at its best, fun and not serious and light, was more than I could literally ever have imagined. How often do we get to feel that? To feel so genuinely surprised by how much we like something, by how much we love something. That discovery, how often do you get to feel that as an adult? And the discovery that this film at its core is filled with joy. Maybe it's not trying to be the best film of all time, but it is trying to be the most joyous film of all time. That, to me, is a movie worth loving. A movie where, even sarcastically, I will say, upon every subsequent viewing, here we go again. Hi, I realized that I didn't make an outro, but to be fair, I've never made a video this long. I sort of filmed 3 hours of me talking to the camera, and then as soon as I was done, I was like, okay, I'm done. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love talking about Mamma Mia ! Here we go again. And now that I have this video, I feel like I should just send this to people anytime anyone asks why I love this movie. And you should do the same. I would love to know in the comments if there are any movies that you have a weird hyperfixation about. I cannot be alone. Like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed. And do you want another one? Do you want another one?